Alright, hey guys, Sonda here, bringing you another game from Nony's replay packet. Nony, sorry. But anyways, alright, this is a game between Nony and White Raw. So this can be played on Zodiac. Real quick, we do have White Raw spawning as the top Protoss in the brown. And then at the 12 o'clock position, and then in the 6 o'clock position, we have my boy Nony at spawning as the white Protoss. Alright, so yeah, January 20th today. Definitely a big shout out to Barack Obama. Congratulations, Mr. Obama. It's pretty awesome. Just to say the least, he's a pretty decent public speaker, almost as good as me. But anyway, so this can be played on Zodiac. Zodiac, a pretty interesting map. There is 2 island expansions which can make for some that is a possibility. They could go for the island expansion. Basically, the thing about island expansions is you can put them up, put a couple cannons in there, and it's really hard to stop. If you can put the cannons so Reavers can't harass, then you're going to stop all Reaver harassment. You're going to be able to hold that expansion without any problem here. White Raw is probably the scariest white guy out there. I mean, this guy is really, really, really good. He actually is a part of Meteor Makers, MYM. And at the time, this was Nony when he was playing for Media. So Media, very good team. Our Aptosis played on it for a bit. Gateway going up for both players here. Sorry for the misclick. So both players are scouting. It does look like Nony is going to be scouting in the wrong position to start. But PvP scouting is actually probably the most important thing. I mean, it is really, really important. There are so many options for PvP. You can go quick high temples. You can go for the Reaver. You can go DTs. You can go 3-gate, 2-gate. You can go for the quick obs. You can go for the expansion. So both players are scouting in the wrong position. But yeah, scouting is a huge, huge deal on this in PvP. Alright, Assimilator's warping in for both players, so both players going to go 1-gate tech. We aren't going to see any double-gate zealots, which is really awesome because I wanted to see these players battle it out. I'm very, very excited. And this is the first time I think Nony's PvP will be tested in the Nony replay packet. I haven't seen much, not much of a contest from the other players. The last PvP he did have, the guy was like mass arconing, and it was pretty much one-sided, I'd have to say. But yeah, also a shout out to youtube.com/VANILSC, a new commentator coming along, and I said I'd give a shout out to him. And then one more shout out to 2009MSL.com. A couple guys from SC2GG are working together to bring you the ultimate MSL coverage, basically. So check it out. Check both of those sites out. Scouting Pro for Nony here is gonna have to run away from this mad zealot here. So basically, Nony wants to keep that alive as long as he possibly can. Not pretty much the same build here going out. The zealot is out for both players now. For both players. So Nony's just going to try to keep that scouting probe alive as he can. Cybernetics Core now warping in for White Raw here. The Cybernetics Core is a little bit later because he did get that early zealot out. In PvP, I think that early zealot is a good option because when you scout last especially, you really don't know what your opponent is doing, and in case of a double gate, you need that early zealot out. A Dragoon against zealot micro is it's possible, and like the good players can do it, although can be frustrating in the beginning because when you're first starting PvP, you probably lose to double gate zealot quite a bit. But just because goons aren't the strongest unit against zealots, so that's why you can out micro a zealot though pretty easily, but it does take a little bit to take down. Nony doing a nice job here keeping the scouting probe alive. We are seeing range here getting upgraded, and Nony has both his zealots on the ramp, so I'm interested to see what Nony is up to here. Cybernetics Core behind here, getting range as well. So Nony not really doing too much. I thought he might probably going to trick his opponent into doing this. Right now White Raw doesn't know what he's doing, so he's going to have to probably go for the quick obs, or at least maybe even throw up a forge with the cannon. Although a player like White Raw, I am expecting the robo into obs just because he doesn't know quite what his opponent is doing. That's a nice job by Nony to block off his ramp. If you see your opponent's ramp block off, you know they're up for something, but you're never sure. Robotics facility is going up, so and a second gateway as well. So we are actually going to see White Raw go for the quick observers here. He just can't take the risk of losing to DTs, but he is really not going to lose to DTs because that is not what Nony is doing here. Nony going to push out with a couple Dragoons here, going to hold his ramp, and he's got to be careful. He doesn't want to let this Dragoon's going to come in here and see what he's up to, but this Dragoon should be able to be taken out. White Raw being a smart player, going to push that goon back, realizing your first goons are really, really important. Generally, lower level players kind of throw them away here. So second gateway and the robo going up for Nony as well. So Nony after losing that scouting probe, not knowing what his opponent is up to. So going for the observatory as well. Observatory warping in. I think we'll see one from White Raw here. I wouldn't expect anything different, noting that he still hasn't been able to get the scouting here. And that's what I am expecting here. And we do so. Oh, we are seeing the robotics support bay here. So I'm sure, is one of these the observatory? There's the observatory. So actually going to go both here. I'm interested to see if he's going to go straight for the observers here. But he did see both the dragoons, so he knows it's not completely DT. And he has seen the zealots on the ramp right now. So White Raw is using his intelligence to realize that his opponent's probably not going DTs because he wouldn't have that big of an army. So he's going to go ahead and get the Reaver while getting the obs. So it's going to come down to White Raw's micro. And it's going to come down to how well Nony can read this. Reavers will be on the way fairly shortly here. We do see a third gateway going up for this. So this is where the builds get a little different here. Nony going to go for the more gateway build, basically going to try to outproduce his opponent, while White Raw is definitely going to have the dragoon or the Reaver advantage since he does have the robotic support by throwing it up in off position, so it is less likely to be scouted. Although Nony with the observer should be able to see that. So we are seeing White Raw's expansion going up, so he's going to have the economic lead. It's going to come down to if he can hold it. PvP is a very, very dangerous game. I mean, really, it's all about scouting. White Raw still with no idea what his opponent is doing. Observer out for both players here. So now White Raw is going to realize that his expansion probably not a horrible idea. He is facing against 3 gates, though, before expansions. That could be a bit risky after all here. It's going to come down to Observer coming in. Going to see the robotics support bay here. So Nony's going to know exactly what his opponent is up to. Nony doing a nice job of the scouting and basically denying any scouting from White Raw here. So Nony in a good situation here. I wouldn't say he's ahead or anything, but he's definitely in a good situation here. Realizing that his opponent's taking his expansion, he's going to go ahead and take an expansion of his own. Excuse me. Harassing has basically not been no one's done anything. Basically a stalemate so far. So I think it's going to come down to both players' armies are getting pretty big here, and Nony not really far behind in the macro game at all. It's basically even, considering that White Raw did get it about 30 seconds early or whatever. But pretty similar builds here. But Nony's army will be bigger, but it's going to come down to his Reaver micro for White Raw. It's going to come down to how well he can control him. A player like White Raw, probably the scariest white guy out there, like I said before. I know he has the Reaver control to do it. He's been with MYM for a while, but I don't blame him. Meteor Makers, not a bad team. Probably a top foreign team. They're right up there with Fnatic as well. Yeah, so the Reaver is out, and he's not being aggressive with it, which is not what I was expecting here. I was expecting some harassment from the Reaver, but he's actually just parking the Reaver out. Oh, never mind. Is he waiting for the shuttle? Or is he just going to bunker up here? I don't even see a shuttle here, so a little different strategy here from his opponent, or from Nony, from White Raw, that is. Yeah, he's gonna just use his Reavers completely defensive here, and I'm surprised if he doesn't get that shuttle out by the time Nony attacks, then he's gonna be in trouble. Reavers are very easily can be picked off without